Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/BadRoommates, where OP's roommate kicks everyone out of the apartment so OP's roommate can engage in, quote, prayer warfare as a devout Christian. And shout out to Olivaroseink for recommending that we cover this subreddit. Our next Reddit post comes from Shooting Stars Zobel, titled Roommate Decided to Go 200% Devout Christian and asking for 0 sleepovers and friends to be gone by 10 p.m. so she can, quote, fire pray at midnight. My name and only name is on the lease, so I'm not too stressed, but I am annoyed about what's going on. I know her through a family friend, so kicking her out would make some interactions tricky. I'm from a very Christian home, and her parents are theistic agnostic. I believe she got the wrong impression of me. I'm somewhat Christian, but I'm also a philosophy and a science nerd, and I'm not really a believer in the way Africans are raised to be. For context, I'm African myself. I thought that getting a roommate this year would be good for me, as I got very depressed last year. I work remotely in tech, so it can be quite isolating sometimes, and I'm on my own at home. I barely socialized, and I was neglecting exercise, something that I'm really trying to fix this year. I think she also didn't want to live alone for whatever reason and couldn't afford her rent anymore, and she proposed moving in with me. I also didn't think this through, so that's kind of on me also. So, I was setting some rules around noise because she is very loud. She wakes up at midnight, sometimes at 4 a.m., to pray very loudly and screams these declarations. Prayer warfare is what she calls it. Then, when she comes back from work, all she listens to, on max volume of course, are these prophets and pastors and worship music. I bought earplugs, but I can still hear her when she's screaming at 3 or 4 in the morning. The other noise, like banging cupboards, cooking at odd hours, I don't hear when I have my earplugs in. I asked that at 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. to please be quiet during the week. She's very new to this, quote, lifestyle, and I can see patterns people that I grew up with fall into. Burnout and never having any money because they've given it away to these churches, etc. She also will pray condescending things like remove the spirit of laziness when I'm around, and that's because I say no to these prayer services that she invites me to, and I choose my sleep over these prayer services. I am a pastor's kid, and even my mom wasn't this intense. My sleep was never disturbed because she wanted to pray. When I proposed this rule, she was uncomfortable, and she believes that her angels or whatever are working and affecting the spirits attacking me. But I spoke to my very Christian mom, and she said that it's against Christianity or whatever to behave like this. Her rebuttal to my quiet time suggestion was that none of us could have sleepovers because, quote, people carry demonic spirits and she doesn't want them in the house, and my friend must leave by 10 p.m. I honestly don't have many friends, but a friend of mine, which is a 6-year friendship, came over last week, heartbroken, and we just chilled in my room speaking as she cried a bit and ate ice cream and didn't even listen to sad music. At 10 p.m., my roommate texted me to remember to get my friend to leave before it was too late to Uber. I briefly introduced them when she arrived, roommate was in the lounge, and we went to my room. I texted back saying that she drives and she only lives down the road. My friend left at 11 p.m. because she had an appointment in the morning, but honestly, I wouldn't have minded my friend sleeping over or even leaving at 1 a.m. if that's what she needed. She let me stay in her apartment for a week when my lease to this current place was delayed and I was waiting to move in. No drama, she's just a good friend. I'm currently single, but that may change in the future. I want my boyfriend to be able to come over, and like I said, I'm not that devoted to these Christian morals. I drink socially, and I used to vape. I quit for health reasons, though. I have started new hobbies, and I'm building a community and a mentally great me. For instance, I like going to other friends' places for board game evenings, or getting ready together to go out for drinks, and would like to host once in a while. I don't go out clubbing anymore, but not because of Jesus Christ, but because I have auditory and sensory issues. I have a beautiful place in a beautiful city, and I want to enjoy this season of my life. And then OP kind of goes on a little bit of a tangent, just kind of talking about OP's roommate basically just being a loud person. But OP does offer this update in the end. Edit. Thanks, guys. I've given her notice to finally move out. The shouting still continued after her text, but I can honestly say that I can comfortably afford the rent and have decided to live frugally until I have that down payment saved up for a house. Also, I am the tenant on the paperwork. I'm the only one responsible for this place, rent, and the deposit that I paid. She is nowhere on the lease. My real estate agent does know about her and had only needed her ID for entry into the building, which he has emailed to change next month. Families stay in the building, and as long as you don't exceed the maximum occupants, the only thing that they care about is the rent check. Good for you, OP. It sounds like kicking her out was long overdue. It sounds like she didn't respect any of your boundaries and just kind of expected you to fall in line with everything that she wanted. Good luck saving up for that house, OP. Our next Reddit post comes from Re99, titled, I swear I'm in a terrible sitcom right now. This is a wild story and honestly, truly a nightmare. My partner, which now is very much my ex, moved into a house with 3 friends, a couple, and my ex's boss, who he had gotten a job with about a month before we moved. We were having some issues, but I figured the move would help. Less financial stress and less overall house burden to deal with. Little did I know he wanted to break up with me a month before we actually moved. So we move, and in 2 weeks, he breaks up with me. I had just bought a new mattress for us, so he took my old mattress and moved into the study, and that's where he's been residing since. Or so I thought, at least. I had noticed that he was getting very close with his boss, our other roommate. He was very stonewall with me, but very attentive and almost uncomfortably friendly with her. I'll admit I was jealous. Apparently, my gut knew something was up, but I was pinned as being delusional for even being concerned about it. Turns out they were indeed a quote thing, and now they're dating and they hid it from everyone in the house, including me. Everyone's asked me, why hasn't he moved out? Well, now I know why. I found out last week when I walked into the lounge room with him on top of her making out. Now we're all suffering in the most uncomfortable hellhole possible. We're all on the lease and no one is really in a position to just up and leave, except we're absolutely going to ask those two to leave. This has been an absolute crap show. Anyway, I signed them both up for Scientology mailing lists and they should be getting a DVD in the mail soon. I think I at least deserve to curse them with relentless Scientologists after all of this nonsense. I think the worst part about this story is that he brought you into this situation knowing that he was going to do that to you. And it sounds like there are a ton of people living in that house, OP. That has to feel cramped as hell. But don't worry, OP. Once a cheater, always a cheater. He thinks the grass is greener on the other side, and so does his boss, but eventually he's going to do the same to her. She's going to leave him. He's going to come crawling back to you, and you can crush him like the ant he is when he tries. Our next Reddit post comes from Anybull5195, titled, My roommate is insanely insensitive and puts us in uncomfortable positions on the daily. So, my roommate brought over a felon last night. I know I sound like a total B-word typing that out, but he has charges for armed burglary, harassment, assault, etc. He's 30 and my roommate is only 20. He admitted to her that he has mingled with, quote, minors in the past. She met this dude at his friend's house. His friend is about 46 years old and has known my roommate's best friend for 5 years now. My roommate's best friend is only 20. They screwed last night. When my other roommate and I tried to explain how that is grooming and very sick, she denied any bad intentions on his end and said that both guys are actually pretty chill. For context, we live out in the woods, 3 females alone, and this man just got out of jail 4 months ago. I'm pissed, and I'm on the verge of breaking my lease and moving back in with family until I can find my own place to live. Am I overreacting? My other roommate and I are both 23, and we try to look out for the 20-year-old. She absolutely does not listen, though. I don't know what else to do anymore. Last time she brought a man over, they ended badly, and she was afraid that he'd show up and do something to her, so she went to stay with her mom for a few days, and basically left us to go screw ourselves. I reminded her of that situation, and all she did was laugh. OP, either this girl needs some serious counseling, or she just really doesn't care about anyone else but herself. Honestly, I remember being 20 years old and thinking, oh, I'm invincible. That bad thing won't happen to me. But it really sounds like this girl really needs a wake up call. That is absolutely grooming. And if he's messed with minors in the past, oh my God, that is such a huge red flag. I would never let this dude anywhere near my property or anyone else that I know. So you are definitely not a total B word for typing that out. I would also not let him anywhere near me or my house. However, I think at this point, it is definitely safer if you cut your losses and either break your lease and leave, or tell her that it's time that she needs to just go back to her mom's house and maybe stay at her mom's house. Our next Reddit post comes from Girly Pip, titled, Roommate wants to rent out room while she's gone on vacation and won't take no for an answer. I, a female in my mid-20s, live in an apartment with 3 other roommates. One of them, who's French and I have considered cultural differences, has been making our lives miserable because she refuses to take no for an answer. A while ago, she asked if she could sublet her room while she goes on vacation, basically just for 10 days while she goes to Brazil. But we all agreed that we weren't comfortable with a stranger staying in our shared space. Her reasoning is that the rent money will, quote, pay for her trip. After a lot of pushback from her, we held firm and she backed off. Or so we thought. Now she's back, reframing the same request by saying that a friend of hers wants to stay in the room while she's away. I still don't feel comfortable with this because it puts responsibility on us to live with someone that we didn't agree to. If they have any questions or need help with something, we'll have to help them. If anything happens, we're the ones that are going to have to deal with it. The apartment dynamic will be so uncomfortable during those days, and we didn't sign up for a new person to be in our space. She won't even be here to host them, so it's not like it's a normal guest type situation. I also suspect that she might be lying about this being a friend and is just trying to work around the subletting rule. She has a pattern for pushing what she wants, both in our apartment and at her workplace, until people give in or give out of exhaustion. One time, she didn't get to use her PTO at work, and she harassed HR until they let her roll over some days into the new year. I want to stand firm on my boundary because we already said no to this in the past, but I also don't want to deal with months of tension until she moves out in July, basically when her contract ends. How do I shut this down without inviting more drama? I feel bad for my other roommate because they are super uncomfortable with her being cold and unpleasant to us in these common spaces. I would love to hear advice from anyone who has dealt with manipulative or persistent roommates who refuse to take no for an answer. As a side note, during our talk when I said no, she accused me of, quote, making her lose $1,000 for not allowing her to rent out her room. OP, I guarantee you that is not a friend. I would bet all of my paychecks that that is some random person that she found on like Craigslist or whatever version of Airbnb that they have in France or wherever you're located. In any case, I would absolutely not let anyone into your house. Stand firm because you don't know who's going to be in your house. It could be an upstanding, nice person, maybe someone looking to go on vacation, or it could be a violent criminal and you would have no way of knowing. Don't let it happen, OP. Stand firm, and if you have to, you might need to get the landlord involved. And hey, if all else fails, there's always the option of if you come home and she does rent her room out without your permission, calling the police and saying that there is a random intruder in your house. Our next Reddit post comes from that B-word 21, titled, Roommate's boyfriend made a copy of her keys and comes and goes as he pleases. Please help. I live in a 4-bedroom apartment with 3 other girls. Besides the chores being somewhat of an issue for people, everything is fine except for one thing. One roommate, which I'll call Sarah, has a boyfriend and he's here every day for the majority of the day. She has a dog, so he helps her out sometimes with that, which I understand. But other times, he's just here, and he's very disruptive. He talks loud on the phone, he talks to her in a very rude tone, and he slams doors. I have my own feelings about him, but he helps her out sometimes, which I can't stop. However, the boyfriend and I have mutual friends, and one of them informed me last night that he made a copy of her keys and he comes and goes into the apartment whenever he wants. That's not normal, right? If she's here, then yeah, I get having your boyfriend visit, even though I personally think he overstays his welcome, but coming here on your own, I think that's insane. And it's not even to help with the dog, apparently. He comes in to sleep sometimes. One time, I caught him in our kitchen just by himself. At first, I thought he was throwing something away, but now I'm wondering if he uses our kitchen to cook and stuff, even when she's not here. I think he's way too comfortable, but I don't know how to talk to anyone about this. Sarah and I barely talk to one another, and I feel like if I were to complain to management, they'd use the dog as an excuse. I just think it's odd. Should I talk to my other roommates, or should I go straight to management? Please help. I didn't sign up to live with 3 girls and a bum. OP, I have a lot of questions about this guy and where he came from and what he does during the day. How did these two even meet? Does he go to this school, or is he just like some freeloader that's trying to take advantage of her because he has no job and nowhere else to stay? In any case, it's definitely not normal. If you guys are roommates, no one should get a key outside of you 3 unless all of you agree to give that other person a key. So it's definitely not normal, and I would absolutely go straight to management about it and get the locks changed immediately. OP, she may not listen to you, but I guarantee you, once management gets involved and tells her that she's going to have to move to a more expensive place if she wants to have some random guy coming in and out without anyone complaining, that she might change her tune a little bit. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/bad roommates. Thank you again, Olivia, for the suggestion. And if you like these videos and these stories, like and subscribe and leave a comment down below for other Reddit subs that you'd like to see us cover, as we post new Reddit videos almost every single day.